Sorry about that. I was muted. Hi, everyone. It's Granny again. So grab your favorite beverage and sit down at my table and let's have a chat. So today we're continuing our, I don't know what you want to call it, but we are looking at the second interview that Chris and Katie Proudfoot did in regards to the disappearance of Sebastian Rogers, 15-year-old autistic male who disappeared from their home in Hendersonville, Tennessee, sometime between February 25th and February 26th of this year. He has not been seen. There is no evidence that he walked away from the home. There are no footprints. There's nothing that he walked away from the home. So we're going back to the beginning because we're nearly 8 months into this now, and Sebastian is still missing, which breaks my heart, you guys. Breaks my heart. So we're looking at the second interview, and we're looking at it along with the behavior panel, who analyzes. There's 4 men, and they analyze behavior. And today, they are analyzing the behavior of Chris and Katie Proudfoot during this interview. And so we've been doing this, and I highly recommend, if you have not seen the other videos, to go back and watch them because it's really interesting. Instead of just looking and rewatching the video again to see if there was anything we missed, we're looking at it kind of from a different angle. We're looking at it from the behavior side of things. Okay. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen with you and we will get started.
Let's talk about Sebastian. Tell me about Sebastian. How would you describe him?
Sweet, stubborn. He loves to help. He loves running, and he loves to play his games and his fidgets and Uno. Lord, that's one of his favorite games right now. Favorite color is green.
Does he love music?
Oh God, he loves music.
Yeah. An eclectic taste. An eclectic. I mean, from as everybody knows, Eye of the Tiger to Eddie Vedder.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So we got Pearl Jam on one hand, we've got Survivor on the other over here. We've got Taylor Swift, and
he's got a big crush on her. I mean, country rock.
No classic. We don't allow the hip hop.
Well, he doesn't really
I
get
say
into it anyway.
Rap and things.
You mentioned he loved running. So did he love the outdoors at all? I mean, would something outside that was somewhat outdoorsy be enticing to him or pull him outdoors?
He loves, like, when we were in California and the school had this lap thing to gain money. It was a fundraiser. And every year I did this many laps. I did this many laps. I mean, I've got T-shirts where they would write on his back. Every time the kids went around, they'd mark a mark on the back and they'd keep running. And he just had marks all the way across his back. He likes playgrounds. He hates being dirty. He don't like being dirty.
Yeah, he's not your tomboy style child where he goes outside and plays in the mud.
He loves animals, but he's terrified of bugs.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, even a fly, and he's like, oh!
If Sebastian was able to watch this, and maybe he's watching this as it airs, and if he is, what do you want to say to Sebastian? What do you want him to hear from you right now?
Oh, gosh. That we love you so much. And we want you to come home and you're not in trouble.
I guarantee you he is loved. And trust me, the open arms are waiting for him to come home. From every parent to every family members to probably everyone in the community. but there's no malice. We just want our boy home. Bad. But
That mama's heart, I know it's daddy's too, but I feel like there's always that extra special bond. Can you walk us through what you're thinking right now?
I just want my baby to be okay. I don't know where he's at. I don't know where he's at.
Let's talk about the community, because I want you all to know, even my church body, I mean, we're all praying for his safe return quickly. What do you all want to say to the community?
Thank you.
with everything from the bottom of our hearts. I would not have imagined how far this has gotten, but there's no way to repay the gratitude, the love that we have felt from the community, the prayers. But thank you.
But
From the
don't
bottom of our
stop
hearts.
looking.
Yeah, please.
My son is somewhere.
This ain't over until he's home.
I'll go first on this one since I've been going last every time, just about. So, I think she gives a heartfelt answer. That's coming right from the heart. That's a mother who's grieving right there, and he doesn't know what to say. So he goes in this cornball thing about the family and open arms and all that. But the thing that bothers me is when he says there's no malice. That's lawyer talk. So, and then he tells, and
Isn't that interesting, guys? Why did Chris say there's no malice? That wasn't the question. Why? You know, and I look at Katie again, and I have to be honest, guys, I really feel like, just as Scott said, it's a mother's grief. It's either that or she's a very good actress. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts?
I'll skip that part. So that probably says he's probably spent some time in court. Obviously, he has. And then when he says that, for the reason he would be in court talking about malice, makes me think he might have a little bit of a temper on him. But it's neither here.
He might have a little bit of a temper on him. Those are Scott's words, not mine.
Or there at this point. But it sounds like he's trying to convince the mother that he feels for the child. And then we see that upheaval of emotion on her. And that's the thing I always talk about, what's missing from someone who is innocent. You see that. And I think that was when she closed her eyes and she's rocking back and forth and talking in a real quiet volume. And then it hits her again, that horror of what's going on. And she almost loses it there. She shakes out of it, and then she ends up putting her hand to her mouth. Now, if it had been fake, I think what would have happened was she would have done that and put her hand up to her mouth at the same time. But it was just, it was not even a thought, but it came up after that. I think we almost watched her lose it. I think we were really close on that. So I think that's real. But I don't think the dad knows what the word gratitude means by the way he's using it. So I think, again, that lets me know he's just talking and adding stuff in there just to have a lot to talk about during that. Greg, what do you got?
Yeah, I think this emotion is real. I'm going to probably be a little bit of outlier here, but I think the emotion is real. I can't tell you why. I mean, we can assume we understand why, but if it were not real, listen to the interviewer. Now, the interviewer, interestingly, has been using the past tense to describe this kid all throughout the interview because that's what she does for a living, and she's gotten to that point. When the mother comes apart is interesting because they ask the question, if he can hear you. Now, I'm going to assume that that's because she's taking the gravity of the moment, but also assume if you had some part or feel like you had some part, even if it's just guilt because the kid is gone, you would have that same emotional outburst or emotional release. Because if you think you caused the person to disappear, If you think you did something that caused that kid to run away, and then something happened, you would feel a hell of a lot of guilt. So is it guilt? Is it feelings of sadness just from sadness? Can't tell that. What we can see is it's real emotion, heartfelt, feels it, and you can tell it by the person coming there. There's also one on his side that makes me feel a little uncomfortable, not the malice piece. Well, agreed, that probably is something he picked up from someone else. He says, we just want our boy here, but with a big old tongue jut. That's awkward.
Isn't that interesting? We just want our boy here, but, and they say tongue jut. Well, what's up with that, right? I really find it interesting how they're really looking at their behavior during this interview and wondering what, I don't know. I find that really interesting. I do believe that Katie was distraught. I did see that upheaval in her emotion, and almost like she was going somewhere and then kind of brought herself out of it. I don't know what that was all about, but Scott felt like she was ready to lose it, and maybe so. Maybe she was ready to just start sobbing. I don't know. Tell me what you guys think in the comments. Let's continue.
Now, that could be, Chase, you brought it up early, that he has a feeling of something. He's trying to project something else, but it's awkward. This is the single most awkward thing in the entire video to me. And it would not be if he just said, we want our boy home, but if he didn't do the tongue jut, I'd say, okay, just one weird pattern of words because he's had a couple. But it just makes me want to lean over and tap him and say, why do you say but? Why? Are you losing confidence in the search? I would make it about something else to get him to talk. But look, guys, this is an emotional time for these two people. It doesn't matter what's causing it. But this area, I would focus on those two just to pay attention and listen to their words moving past this. And we will, and see if something comes back up to give us some indicator. So far, I've heard things like, we heard things about friends, and we heard things around in trouble, around resistant and spat, and so fighting. So there's probably been some baggage associated with this that would cause her to feel something. So I'll give her the benefit of the doubt there and say, Mark, what do you got?
Yeah, you're right, Greg. The but is, whatever the weather, is certainly a loss of confidence. What that loss of confidence is about, given that there's a lot of a setup of needing hope, especially at this point, and it could be a loss of confidence around that. I don't know. Could be. It's a speculation that I'm having. Okay, so I would say you're absolutely right. The mother is close to not being able to contain her emotions anymore. It's affecting the interviewer now. We hear that interviewer's voice change when the interviewer talks about the community. We can hear that interviewer taking on the same rhythm and emotion as the mother. I would say the father has been in cognitive empathy throughout this, and he's now moving to emotional empathy. He's close to joining in with emotional empathy for the mother, close to having the same emotion. My assumption is he's been playing the role of strength and order during this, just as maybe Chase or Scott, I can't remember which of you said, if both people start taking the role of going down that well of emotion, like who's there to control that? You've got to have, if everybody goes down that route, it's complete chaos. Nothing wrong with going down that route, but in a partnership, you kind of need, one partner to hold on to the steering wheel while the other goes down that route, and vice versa. Who knows what happens with that stepfather outside of an interview, and what happens with the mother outside of that interviewer.
That's an interesting thought, right? I like what Mark said. Who knows what happens with that father outside of the interview? Who knows what happens with that mother outside of the interview? Well, we've seen enough to know that outside of this interview, there's no emotion anymore. Right? There's no emotion anymore. I'm not so sure that I agree with Mark when he said that the stepfather is getting close to going into that emotional realm with the mother. I don't see that, but I could be wrong. Let me know what you guys' thoughts are.
The two roles could change instantly. Here's what I like about what I hear at the end of this. Don't stop looking, and the stepfather immediately comes in with please. Well, for somebody, if we're thinking here that this is somebody who's involved in a crime, you'd never jump in immediately with please. You'd hold back with that. You'd wait and see. This ain't over till he's home, and that stress on home. So look, I think for me, from what I see there, from the evidence that I see in this particular video, there seems to be quite a conflict here between the hope of getting the kid home and a reality at 8 days in as to but what's the likelihood at this point? Statistics never look good at 8 days. Chase, what do you got on this one?
Statistics never look good at 8 days. Look how many days we're into it now. We're 230 some odd days, right? And yet Seth still has hope that Sebastian is alive. So, I am praying daily that Seth is right. I really hope and pray that Sebastian will be brought home and he'll be alive. It's going to be interesting to see what happens then, right? Because there's so much animosity between the two fractions now that really when you look at it, what is Sebastian going to come home to? Yes, he needs to be brought home. Yes, I really feel as though, my opinion, he needs to be home with Dad. My opinion and my opinion only, because I believe that there was something that was not right between Chris and Sebastian. My thoughts, my opinions, I don't know what it is. I'm not accusing anyone of anything, but something was not right there.
Yeah, y'all have some really great points, really insightful points here on this. And I agree, this is what true grief looks like. When the reporter suggests Sebastian's watching, you can see it on her face when she's trying to come up with this. These expressions are almost impossible to fake. But if you're on the other side of the fence and you were thinking of maybe people are really good actors, hold on for a second. These actors that you're thinking of do several takes. They know the script. They prepare ahead of time for the script, and they prepare the emotions to display. And this reaction was instantaneous on her face in response to a question that she didn't know was coming. So when she says, "Oh God," there's the emotional pinnacle of truthful expression and genuine grief there. So just imagining him watching is causing this reaction, and the thought of being able to speak to him. I've watched
That's kind of what we were all hoping to see, isn't it? How did we forget about this interview? We have said that we wanted to see that from Katie. The grief, the actual grief. We've seen it in this interview. He said it. Actors, practice over and over again to get everything right. And yet this was an instantaneous response, a truthful response. You know, do you guys really honestly believe that Katie is that good of an actress? Do you believe that? 'Cause I'm not sure I do. You know, I'm not saying I'm team Katie and Chris or team Seth. It's team Sebastian. And I'm trying to look at this objectively, and I'm trying to look at this truthfully. So let's continue.
1,000 of these things, give or take. And I've never seen a reaction like this in a person who was guilty or involved. Never. And when she's saying, I just want my baby to be okay, so often we hear people who are involved saying they want answers. Keep that in mind. They want answers to some of these questions. This woman doesn't care about how people see her. She's not managing her words and how she's being perceived. So when you're guilty and you know the disposition of a child, there's plenty of emotional and cognitive room to worry about how to come across. And when it's genuine grief, the desire to manage perception goes out the window. Keep that in mind. You can hear the emotional empathy, Scott, like you point, or whoever that was, in the reporter. And you don't hear this in other cases with the reporters, ever. Let's have another.
Boss me around when it comes to the videos. I'll get to the other.
Go to the next one.
We're going straight to 11, or are we doing
next?
think we
Don't go to 11.
11.
Next video.
Okay, guys. So what are your thoughts there? What do you think of this set of behavior analysis? I, for one, think Katie was being honest, truthful. Her emotions were real. I'll be honest, I have questions about Chris, and I think each of these 4 behavior people have questions as well. But, I mean, they're not willing to come out and say, you know, that he's responsible, obviously, because they don't know that, and neither do I. Do we have questions, though? Yes. Yes, we do. Right? We do have questions. So we're going to leave it at that. We're going to continue down the road. On the next video, I think we've got like 1 or 2 more videos with the behavior panel for this interview. So we're very quickly coming to a close with this, but I think it's been enlightening. It's something I had totally forgotten. I honestly had. I totally forgot that. I forgot Katie's reactions, I guess. So I've been finding it interesting, and I hope you have too. Let me know, guys. You know, don't be afraid to comment. You know, whether you agree or disagree, just please be respectful. Because let's have the dialogue. Let's talk about it. Tell me what you see. You know, are you seeing the same things I am? Are you seeing the same things behavior analysis people are? You know, and I want to encourage you, if you have not subscribed to the behavior panel, please do so. They are excellent. They're professionals in their own right, and whether we completely always agree with them or not, I think they have some good viewpoints. Don't forget to light it up for Sebastian. His favorite color was green, so light up your porches. Tell us where you're from. Shoot us pictures to our email. Let us know that you're lighting it up for Sebastian. Put his name and face out there. Distribute flyers everywhere. No matter where you live, distribute those flyers. Make sure your local Walmart has his flyer on their board. I made sure mine did. All right, guys, I will see you on the next one. Have an awesome day. Thank you for watching another episode of Granny's Crime Busters. We really appreciate each and every one of you. Don't forget to subscribe and like and even share the content. You can follow us on any of our other social media platforms at YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. We really appreciate you guys, and you can also email us at granniescrimebusters@gmail.com. Thank you so much, and we will see you on the next one.